Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. I'm here with Brady Webb again. Brady, thanks again for coming back on the show.
Chris, I tell you what, I feel honored to have you want me to be on the show. So I'm glad to be here. I'm always glad to share with everyone. And, if there's something I can say that will help someone in their business, then I love paying forward.
That's amazing. Well, in the last time you were on, you shared some phenomenal information with us, and I've been hearing some great things about some business development stuff that you've been up to. And so I was hoping that we could touch on that today.
Absolutely. So, it seems like the buzz over the last several months, especially, within our group, the Mortgage Marketing Animals and the Freedom Club, is bringing people in to help develop the business for you. As business owners, I'll speak for myself, but as I get busier growing the business and working on the business, I have less time to love on the people that actually help me build my business.
Yep.
And, it's if you're not visible, then you're invisible, right?
That's right.
So what we've done is brought in, at least for me, I've brought in two what we call BDRs, business development reps.
Okay.
And we've been trying, we started this a long time ago, way back in the Freedom Club. You probably remember the term weather lady.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes.
So we started working on this probably 4 or 5 years ago. And it just, up until the last year, it's really started to take off.
Okay.
And in particular, we've got one person in the group that is a Freedom Club member, been a BDR full-time now for 3 years. And she's going to close over $50 million in volume this year.
Wow.
As just a business development rep. And for those people that are like, okay, what is a business development rep? Well, I'll give you my definition of that, but it's an individual that doesn't have to be licensed, can be licensed, because they're really not talking about mortgage specifics. They will, talk about programs that are available through the company, but they're not selling rate. They're not taking applications. They're not doing the things that you actually have to be licensed to. Although I like to have mine licensed. One is, and one's going to be getting licensed. But they basically, for me, have taken over all the existing relationships that I've built over the years. Because with me working on growing my business now and coaching and trying to be a leader for the people that I have on my team, it's just hard for me to spend the time getting out and seeing the agents, making the phone calls, doing the DSP, and really finding out, how I can help them. So I've brought somebody in, actually two people. I have one in Kentucky and one in Florida now.
Okay.
And so they are going back to the relationships that we already have, or the ones that we've had in the past that maybe have stopped in this business because, I'm not able to call them and love on them and give them the attention that I should be. So they're taking over all the existing relationships. Plus, we have them out developing new relationships.
Okay.
So you might ask, so who do you go after? Well, of course, we want to work on the realtors. Again, they're nurturing the existing relationships that we have and creating new ones. And then we're also, one of my BDRs actually came from a Morgan Stanley, where she was on the management team, and she managed over 200 financial advisors. So
Whoa.
That's one area that we're really focusing on with her. Plus, she's working realtors too. But another place you want to look, and some people say, well, and I'm going to differentiate financial planners, CPAs, insurance, family law, and all that. So financial planners are a good source of business, but you got to think about this when you're a business development rep. Who can refer you the most business? So a realtor would, of course, be number one, because every person they come in contact with needs what? They need a mortgage.
That's right.
At least 80% of them. Some of, maybe say 20% pays cash.
Yep.
But for the most part, everybody they talk to is going to be an opportunity to refer. Financial planners are a little bit different. Although they have a need, not every person they come in contact with daily, or not everybody on their book of business, is going to need a mortgage at that point in time. So they are a good source of business, but this is funny. This was in San Antonio last week. Carl was making the distinction, and he didn't realize it, when he said it. It came out really from the now. It's like the talk across the group. So he's like, going to a realtor is kind of like milking a cow. And he said, you're gonna get a lot of milk out of a cow, but those financial advisors, they might be more like milking a squirrel. So all these memes popped up all over Facebook with him milking a squirrel. It's funny, but now what he's trying to point out is you're going to get more milk out of the cow than you will the squirrel, which the realtors versus the CPA or the financial planners and even the CPAs. Now, another area that I think you should focus on is family law, divorce attorneys, because everybody, unfortunately, that's going through a divorce, most of them are going to own real estate, correct?
Correct.
So you got to help the divorce attorneys or their clients navigate through one person getting off of the mortgage through a refinance. That at the same time, most of the time we're having to pull equity out of the property to pay off the other spouse. And then we got to figure out what can we do to get that spouse that's leaving the current residence, how can we get them into a new residence for their family?
Yep.
So those are my primary two focuses. But with me, my BDRs are supporting my team. They're supporting my loan officers, and it's going to be a win-win.
Absolutely. Now, so that business development rep, totally on building the business, new relationships. Do they have the same structure that they follow to reach out to a realtor as they do, let's say, a divorce attorney, or do they have different processes for who they're reaching out to? What does that look like?
Well, basically, the script's going to be the same. And what we want to do is we already have relationships with both of those individuals. So what we do is leverage that. We leverage the existing relationship. So Chris, if I was sitting down with you and you're an agent that we've been doing business with, and now my BDR is meeting with you, one of the questions we ask, say, Chris, let me ask you a question. If you didn't have your real estate license, who would you hire to sell your home for you? Or who would you hire to be your buyer's representative?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now tell me why you'd hire that person. What's so great about them? Awesome. Well, if you don't mind, can you share their contact information with me? Because I'm going to call them and tell them I just had a meeting with you, and you and I do business, and I'm going to tell them all the great things you said about them, and I'm going to ask them for an appointment so I can hear more about why Chris thinks you're so awesome.
That is amazing. Yeah.
So that's a great way. So leverage the relationships that you already have. We do the same thing with the divorce attorneys.
Okay.
Yep. Now, we also have a system in place that you can reach out to, people that haven't met us, same things. It's kind of like our Thor's hammer in the club that we use to meet new agents. Well, we can do the same thing with divorce attorneys. Now, I'm a little unique because I actually have a certified divorce lending professional certification. I went through a class a few years ago, so our company is certified in divorce lending, so we actually leverage that as well.
Yep. When
we're introducing ourselves to new divorce attorneys, but we can actually be a huge asset for them.
It's so beautiful to think of all of the different pathways that you can use to grow the mortgage business. I mean, so many people in the mortgage industry aren't even just tapping into the low-hanging fruit, which is the realtors that are around them. I mean, one of the things that I learned from you on the last podcast that we did is that you're calling the real estate agents on the other side of the transaction as part of the daily success plan. Just having that business development rep making those calls for you can be a huge inroad of new referral partners in the business.
100%. So as deals come in, my loan partners are to make sure that they have the names of the agents involved with all of our transactions over to our BDRs for them to actually get out and visit, while my loan partners are still talking to them each week as well with pipeline updates and basically doing the same thing. The DSP, we have another person that's actually in the field out there seeing them, getting belly to belly, face to face, and creating the relationships.
So no Zoom appointments. These are all face-to-face appointments. They're getting out there and meeting face-to-face.
A lot of them are. Now, we still, of course, we will do Zoom appointments if necessary. Everybody's busy. Sometimes it is a Zoom appointment, but for the most part, I'm wanting them to get out face-to-face. We do have some people in our group, Chris, that they've hired BDRs, and they're calling agents 5 hours away in another market and being successful at it. So you can, just like, me, I'll take me for an example. I started my business up in Kentucky 24 years ago. Well, now I live in Florida, and I was already building a business in Florida from Kentucky. by just picking up the phone, scheduling Zoom appointments, talking to people, building a relationship, talking about our systems and processes, and then helping them, seeing what I could do to help them grow their business. And then, every now and then I would come down here and we'd get together and meet all of them, do a face to face, but it doesn't have to be face to face.
That's super powerful. The face to face, I feel, that builds an extra layer to the relationship, like that long term nurture. But I mean, that initial, like, let's go out and find the people that resonate with us so that we can know who we want to build the relationship with. That's a fantastic place to do.
Right.
Zoom is a fantastic place.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Some people, I'd be okay with not meeting you face to face because I'm very busy. Yeah. But if I can do business over a Zoom meeting because it's very efficient with my time, there are other people that prefer to meet face to face, and other people that actually you're going to have more success by meeting face to face, because our business is a relationship business. We all know that.
100%.
So people do business with people that they like, right? Yep. So the more time you spend with somebody, the more value you bring through helping them and being actually genuinely interested in ways to help them grow their business. You're going to build a friendship.
Yep.
I compare it to dating. Let me ask you a question, Chris. So you've been married how long now?
10 years. Well,
10
coming
years,
up
okay.
on 10 years.
So your wife didn't marry you after one coffee appointment, right?
That's right.
So you had to keep pursuing, correct?
Correct.
And you had to build the relationship. Then you became really good friends, and you decided, hey, I want to spend the rest of my life with this person. Well, building business relationships is really no different.
That's right.
So you got to follow up. We always say the money is in the follow up. Yeah. So, for those that are listening, whether you have a business development rep or you're just doing it yourself, you got to keep following up. And if you find yourself not being able to do that, then this might be a really good strategy for you to start to consider, because if you don't follow up, you're not going to deepen the relationship. And I always say this too. I'll give Tony Taylor credit for this. She calls it her Focus 50, but we do focus on a certain number of agents. So the reason we do that, you're much better off going deep than you are trying to go wide.
Yeah.
Because you really can't. I mean, you think about that. How would you manage 100 relationships? You can't.
Yep.
You really can't. Even somebody that's all they do full time, it's hard to manage 100 relationships. So, focus on 50 people, work on those relationships over the next 12 weeks. And then, as one falls off or one doesn't want to do business with you, or one's maybe not a good fit personality-wise for you, because we do get to do business with people that we actually like.
Yeah.
We don't have to do business with anybody we don't like, right? If it's not
That's
a good
right.
personality fit, take them off the list, add somebody else on the list, and start working that relationship. But I would actually focus on 50 people and try to go deep with those 50. And then as you need to, you can add more to the list and remove the people from the list that don't work out.
Yep, that's fantastic. And speaking of relationships, you also need to have a relationship with your BDM. So first off, how are you finding these business development reps? And what does that process look like? And then how often do you meet with them? What type of tracking do you have in place for them? What does that side of the business look like?
Okay, so one of the best places to look for them, look for a BDR, is title reps.
Okay.
Title reps have a lot of relationships. The good ones have a lot of relationships with realtors. They already know the business to some extent. And typically, there you're going to make more money on those relationships on the mortgage side than they will the title side. Title side has very low compensation. Or not, I don't know the compensation, but I know that based on what the title companies are earning, they get a very small percentage of that title premium.
Yep.
So the compensation's better on the mortgage side than is the title side, and the title side already has the relationships. Another good place is this is a sales job. So you want to look for somebody that's got that really engaging personality, that somebody that's very approachable. They're smiling all the time. They sound, when you run into somebody and you're like, wow, they got a dynamic personality.
Yep.
That could be your next BDR. You want them to have a really high I. You want them to be an ID, moderate ID to high ID, and then probably on this I'm talking about the DISC for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. It's the DISC profile. We do a DISC profile on everyone.
Okay.
So typically they are a high I, medium D, and usually they're going to be a medium S and C, or it could be a higher C. That's what the profile looks like. And then on the value section of that, you also want them to be a high economic, high political, a higher individualistic. And one of my BDRs is actually high altruistic, which means she loves helping people.
That's right.
So that's another very good quality. But you want them to be a team player. That's going to be important. And they can't be afraid to approach somebody that they don't know and pick up the phone and call somebody to ask for an appointment.
Yep.
Now, the way we train them, we're basically training them like we do our other salespeople in the Freedom Club. Yep. Teach them the Thor's hammer, teach them the scripting, and get this with them every single day is nothing but selling, phone calls and selling, making appointments. They don't have to worry about getting somebody's bank statements, pay stubs, putting the application in the system. They don't have to worry about pre-approving people. Our team does that. Their only focus is to get the referrals.
Get the referrals. That's fantastic. And so then they're responsible for those relationships. They have the relationships. Are you tracking like how many outbound calls they do every week and those types of metrics?
Yeah. So we use a tracker.
Okay.
And in our CRM, we have assigned to them a group of agents based on location.
Okay.
And so in our CRM, they can anytime hit a button and pull out their agents, see what's going on with the agents. But we also use a separate tracker for the referrals to come in so that we know where that referral is at. And we color code it green, yellow, and red. Red's a dead deal. Yellow means we're working on it, and the green's in the pipeline.
Okay.
And then that way, and we do that every month. So we can pop back to last month and look at all the yellows and know that, hey, we need to follow up with these yellows. We also can see what agents are referring them. It tracks how many referrals are coming by agent as well.
Man, that is powerful stuff. And so just to give people like, okay, I'm motivated. I want to go out and I want to hire a BDR and I want to get them started. Like how much activity should they be doing a day? Should they be, calling and connecting with 10 people, 50 people? What does that look like?
Well, that depends on the person they hire. But what our goal is in our business. So again, here's the day of one of my BDRs. So maybe on Mondays, she's calling Kentucky realtors.
Okay.
Tuesday, she might be calling her financial advisors. Wednesday, she might be calling her Florida realtors. Thursday, she might be just like calling all the ones back that she didn't get a hold of.
Yeah.
And now, she does that in the mornings. So we have the time is blocked. So let's just say it's from 9 to 12. 9 to 12, all she's doing is calling for 3 hours and setting appointments, following up on whatever she needs to follow up on. And in the afternoons, all of her appointments are set. And the best way to do that is to stack your appointments. Go like plant yourself at a Starbucks or some other location, and then have your appointments stacked where they come to you every 30 minutes.
Yep.
And it's always good too, as one person's leaving, the other person's walking in, it's a great time for them to meet other agents.
Yep.
So, marketing is what makes the phone ring, right?
That's right.
Okay. So if you're not doing your daily success plan, which is making those phone calls, and you don't have that time blocked out, and you get distracted and you don't do the calls or the marketing, the phone's not going to ring.
That's right.
And you're not going to have the appointments in the afternoon. So it's really, really important that you know what your job is every single day in the mornings and in the afternoons. And it's got to be, Chris, it's got to be non-negotiable.
Yep.
Question. And this is what I mean by non-negotiable. If the school calls you and says, you need to come pick your child up from school because they're sick.
Yep.
Okay. You say, well, I'll be there in 3 or 4 hours. No, you'd walk away from this microphone. You say, I got to go. Let's cut this off. I got to go because I got to go get my kid from school. He's sick.
That's
or
right.
She's sick, right? That's a non-negotiable. your calls are going to be the same way. So unless you're having a family emergency, something like that, your calls in the morning, your marketing time is non-negotiable.
Yes, I could not agree more, and that's well, I think that's a great way to end it off, Brady. Again, an incredibly valuable episode. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time and with the training. For somebody looking to grow the business who says, I won't call realtors, or I'm scared of calling realtors, now there's no excuses as to why they can't be building their business with real estate partners. This is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, and if anybody needs any help with this, they're more than welcome to reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook. You can pretty much Google Brady Webb and you're going to find me. So anybody needs any help, just reach out to me and I'll be glad to help.
That is amazing. And we'll have your socials in the show notes. We're also going to have the information and the links over to the Mortgage Marketing Animals and the Freedom Club so that you can go and get information about that incredible training as well, Brady. I know you're a coach there, and man, our listeners would be lucky if they end up on your docket for coaching.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it very much. And listen, you and your family have an amazing Christmas and holiday season. And we appreciate everything that you do for the group.
Awesome. Well, you too. And I look forward to the next episode.
All right, Chris. Take care.
Thanks, Brady.
Bye.
Hey, it's Chris Johnstone. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. I hope that you loved it and got incredible value from it. Right now, it's time to head on over to iTunes and leave your 5-star review if you enjoyed this episode. When you do, you will be entered into our monthly draw to receive an Amazon gift card. So go ahead, leave that review today. It also helps us attract top talent and really get incredible interviews lined up for you so that we can share even more value for you. Now, for the show notes and for all of the resources that were mentioned in this episode, you can head on over to loanofficerwealth.com. That's loanofficerwealth.com. You get access to all the show notes from all the episodes, all the past episodes, get notified of new episodes when they drop, and we've also got some very special bonuses for you over on that page when you opt in. So head on over and opt in today, and we look forward to sharing the next episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast with you soon.